Hello and welcome back to another episode of Escape from Tarkov. Episode of what? Episode of Escape from Tarkov news. We'll go with that. So we've got some good news and we've got some bad news. The first lot of bad news is that a lot of keys have had their base sell price to people like therapists slashed by massive amounts. As you can see in the comment on the Reddit page there, the Kiba key is almost slashed by 80%. Now here are a bunch of keys that I've got and their prices are dramatically lower. Now the reason for this is to try and combat real money trading, and I mean, on the one hand I am all for tackling that problem because it means putting a dent in the cheaters, but on the other hand, if your game suffers significantly because of the safeguards you put in place, which one is worse? You know, I sympathise with their position at Battlestate Games. It's difficult to make this decision, but you've got to ask yourself if this is going to punish 99% of the players rather than the hacking population, which affects maybe 30-40% of games. It's a toss-up of whether or not it's really going to be effective. And now we get to the even worse news. Overall, 5.56 rounds have had a nerf. Now, it sounds strange because 2 rounds have been buffed in penetration and damage, but M995, which is the best 5.56 round, has had a 3% damage nerf. Now, that might not sound like much, but it now takes 3 shots to kill someone to the thorax, even if they're unarmoured. So the problem presents itself is because the best round in 5.56 has been nerfed, it pulls the whole platform down. It makes HKs worse, it makes M4s worse, it makes MDRs worse, and it makes ADARs worse. I think the biggest problem with this change is fundamentally it makes the conversation between AK or M4 platform completely null and void, because there is no point in running an M4 or an AK. Whilst yes, they'll still be meta competitive, but the price per performance for the AK and the 5.45 and the 7.62 variants are just going to be far more cost effective than running the same M995 round, which is just going to underperform now. But another thing that concerns me is there is plenty of talk on the Reddit on how these changes might have been implemented because of a Reddit post that went up yesterday, where a person said they have extensive experience with the 5.56 platform, and this is how they happen in real life. Now, on the one hand, I don't want to discredit that person because they may have that experience, but on the other hand, this is the internet and that is Reddit. Should Battlestate Games be taking any information from the Reddit to implement on their game? Well, I'm going to err on the side of not when it comes down to making an entire platform of weaponry in the game worse than another platform by a large margin. I think we'll have to wait and find out how this one plays out. I'm certainly sad about it because I prefer the M4 over the AK just purely aesthetically. I just think they look like a nicer weapon. I'm not saying the AKs look bad, to me I would prefer to run an M4 or a HK than run an AK. But now it's kind of the choice of, do I run an M4, which is what I want to run, spending more money for less performance, or do I run an AK spending less money, but I don't want to run it, but I'm getting better performance? It just becomes a question of, I'm no longer thinking about enjoyment in this game, I'm thinking of what's going to let me survive more raids. And that's why people tend to drift towards what is, meta, what is the best available gun and what's the best available ammo. On to better news, there is a new weapon just been showcased on the Instagram. That is, I believe, if I'm googling it correctly, the Colt M45A1, which looks like it is a successor to the 1911. It is chambered in the same caliber as the 1911, the 45 ACP, so I believe, this is purely conjecture, but I think this weapon is going to be added alongside the Vector, which could be coming in 12.7. And the reason for thinking this is because initially, if I remember rightly, they said the Vector would launch with the 1911, and they're both on the 45 ACP platform. Hopefully this means we will get some more armor penetrating ammo for the 45 ACP, because I'm sure they exist. I'm sure in real life there is more armor penetrating rounds than what we've got currently. What we've got currently, I think the best one can only go up to class 3 in the game. So I would ideally like to see one that would do class 4, class 5, so it can compare with the FN57, but that's just me. The final bit of good news we have is we have some new shots of the custom expansion, which I think is going to be absolutely huge. judging by the pictures and trying to match up the topography of the windows, I think we're in for a treat with this customs expansion. I think we're going to have about 4 to 5 enterable new buildings, and I think it's going to completely open up the construction area all the way to the back of Old Gas Station. Reason being is, if you look at this picture on screen now, you look at that window is directly, I believe, in game now. It just changes. You know, Old Gas Station at the bottom of the road, that unenterable building on the left, which has a grassy knoll behind it where you can cut through. I think that's where that is, because when you look at that shot and then you look at this shot, the same tower, same building, the car, everything. I could have took it on a non-rainy day, but I think that is where that building is located. By the looks of most of the pictures though, I think all we're going to be getting really is mostly construction materials. It doesn't look to be very many military hotspots, you know, for crates and things. There'll be the odd one, but mostly it looks like it's going to be construction materials to me, with one massive exception, and that is there is a labs looking area that has loads of medical items, which I'm going to hope has a potential spawn for a LEDX. Reason being is, I think if you could have a potential spawn down there for a LEDX, you would pull a lot of the loot based gameplay away from dorms and down to there, down to, you know, that part of the map, and you'd create it so you wouldn't have to worry so much. Now this picture here, if you see that building on the left there, I think that building is these ones we're seeing here behind Old Gas Station, and I think it's just going to be huge, the overall size of it. And now that is the building, which if you look on BSG's Instagram, they do have other pictures of the customs expansion, and that is the building, I believe, that has the nested LMG in it. So it's going to have a complete view of that back end. Honestly, pretty scared of it, because I know there's a quest where you've got to go into the porter cabin in the factory zone to pick up a documents case for Prapo, and that that LMG is going to be pointing towards that door, so it's kind of be like early game. You don't want to be the guy that has to go and jump up to open the door and get the documents case, because you get blown away by it if people actually use it. So this screenshot I've taken is from the other side of the map, just near the end of construction where the previous new expansion was. And if you look on the right hand side of the screen, you'll see those same buildings again, just by Old Gas Station. So I really think it's going to connect both of these sides of the map and just have an absolutely, you know, like a third. At the moment there's 2 paths from either side of the map where the extracts lie. You've got to go through construction or you've got to go up by DOMs, and those are the 2 main ways. I think this is going to add a third, so you can go from elbow maybe and skirt round the back as well. Now this one looks like an interesting place to fight in. It definitely looks very reminiscent of the first dorm buildings on the right hand side, you know, where all the weird miscellaneous spawns are. Every shot they've given us so far has a window in it. I wonder if there's like some sort of hint they're trying to give by showing us, you know, glimpses of the outside customs. Here's the one I was talking about earlier, the medical place. I really hope there's some good medical stuff in there. Perhaps some ophthalmoscopes. That would be a good one as well. I think looking on a map, I think the red rectangle I've drawn on the map there, that is about the area and the total size of what the expansion is going to be. I think it's going to make, because you see a lot of train lines in the pictures, and that train line runs all the way through there. I think it's really going to open up customs. I think it's going to be great, because if you look at that map right now, the middle is a massive choke point, because dorms in construction, where basically all the, you know, missions take place in dorms and construction, just makes this map into a giant horseshoe where it funnels each side into the middle into a fight, which is really counterintuitive to surviving. You know what I mean? Like, avoiding the enemy is the first tip to surviving, you know, an encounter, is to get away from them before they kill you. But no, I think it's going to be a good expansion. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be probably 12.7, or it could be closer. Reason I'm thinking that is I think they're going to drop Streets of Tarkov real soon, and it wouldn't make a lot of sense to drop Streets and Custom Expansion, because the Custom Expansion would be a fantastic addition at the beginning of a wipe, because of how many quests are centralized around customs. But anyway, that is it for Tarkov's news today. I just wanted to make a quick video on that, because a lot of those changes are imperative to know about. You know what I mean? If you're loading up your clip with M995 today and you're wondering why you're not putting people down as fast, that's why. But I hope this information helps you. I'm going to continue to do this series because I believe information on Tarkov is the biggest commodity one person can have playing the game. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.